everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight I'm going to be attempting for the first time to make a raspberry truffle or chocolate truffle raspberry swirl ice cream. So one more time, chocolate truffle raspberry swirl ice cream. The recipe comes from this lovely Williams-Sonoma ice cream book that was given to me by my girlfriend Jen Eve last year, and we are going to be making the recipe out of here, and I'll be making little comments and notes as we go through. This was definitely an interesting experience making this recipe. This is not, ice cream is an interesting technique anyway because it's an emulsion. This is a very small recipe. It's just one little container worth. And I have a large ice cream maker, so it went a little faster than I was expecting, and weird other things happened. So, anyway, I'm rambling. Let's do this.
To make our chocolate ice cream, we will need 1.5 cups heavy cream, 1 cup whole milk, 4 ounces semi-sweet chocolate coarsely chopped, 4 large egg yolks, 1 cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract.
Okay, so we're going to add our milk and 1 cup of our cream. So I'm just going to pour 1/2 cup of our cream out, and then I'm going to pour the rest of it in to here. Okay, and so I have my 1/2 cup of cream that I'm putting to the side. I'm going to heat this for 5-ish minutes on medium heat. I'll give this a quick whisk. Now, I'm going to stir this occasionally. We want to bring it to just a simmer, just enough to get it warm enough to melt our chocolate, but not so hot that it develops a film over the top. And that's what we're trying to avoid as we're doing this, is keeping a film from developing on the top. Well, into this bowl, we're going to add our sugar, our eggs, and our last 1/2 cup of cream. And we're going to whisk this. And we just want it to the point of it being smooth and all of our sugar is dissolved. And then we're just going to put that to the side. Oh, that looks good. And with that, we've got it just up to heat, just starting to bubble. So we're going to turn that off. And now we're going to add our chopped chocolate into this bowl. And from there, we are going to pour this hot cream and milk on top of our chocolate, and then we're just going to let it sit for 3 minutes, and then we're going to give it a whisk until it's smooth. Alright, now that that's had a few minutes to melt, we're going to give it a stir. I'm just going to make sure that that is fully melted and combined. Okay, so now that that's thoroughly combined, we are now going to move back to our saucepan, which we put to the side. And into our saucepan, we are going to add back in our eggs, sugar, and the leftover cream, which we made smooth and dissolved the sugar earlier. So I'm going to put that all in there. Now I'm going to add this cream mixture in slowly. Ooh. Okay, put the rest of that back in. All that good chocolate in there. Okay, now with that, we're done using our whisk, and we are going to be swapping to a wooden spoon. Okay, so there we go with our wooden spoon. Okay, now we're going to turn our heat back on. And we're going to let this go while constantly stirring it. Alright, so we cook that just long enough until it can coat the back of a spoon, which you can see it can. Now, the recipe says to run it through a ultra-fine sieve
which I don't have, so a regular mesh strainer will just have to do.
And I continue to pour this through my strainer. And this is just to get out any clumps. If I had a finer strainer, it would do probably a little bit of a better job. But we'll make do with what we can here. And so just get the little plumpies out of the bottom there. We're going to transfer this over to an ice bath. Now that we have this all strained, I know, look at the mess. I'm going to add the vanilla and give that a stir. Okay, now we're going to take this lovely custard and we're going to put it into an ice bath. So now we're going to put the small bowl inside the big bowl. Let it cool. Oops. Just don't want to get water into my custard because that would be bad. So we're going to let this cool. We're going to stir this occasionally, but we're going to bring the temperature down gradually so we don't get a film on the top. And then we are going to transfer it to the refrigerator. This is nice and thick now and it's cooled down. So we're going to take this out of the ice water. All the ice is now melted. I'm going to scrape down the edges and wrap this in plastic wrap. And we are going to wrap this as tightly as we can. And then we're going to stick this in the refrigerator for a minimum of 3 hours. Or in our case, we're going to do it overnight. And since our base is done, we will do the rest. We'll make the truffles, the raspberry syrup, and we will make our ice cream. While I was creating this recipe, I found lots of little bumps and weird things happening along the way. The ice cream that you see me making, that method, that was the second time I did it, because the first time, because of the way it's worded in the cookbook, I made it kind of, I didn't quite get what they were telling me to do, and so I screwed it up and had to start all over again. But we learned. Hopefully I got this right. This time we will find out when Joey and I try it. When I mean this is worded weird, like I actually got confused when I was reading this for the first time. Oops. Because all of a sudden it's like, right, you're making truffles, right? But then it says for the ganache, and you're like, what? I mean, obviously people who've worked with ganache knows that it stiffens up, but for people who have no idea, this is very confusing the way it's worded, because you're telling me to make a ganache in one sentence, and then in the legit next sentence, you're telling me to move my truffle mixture to a pan. Where did the ganache go? Just a question. Well, now we make the ganache. To make the ganache that will be the truffles for our ice cream, we will need a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, a tablespoon of butter, 4 ounces of chopped semi-sweet or bittersweet plain chocolate, and 1 tablespoon of Chambord, which is this black raspberry liqueur, which I had never had or even known about before making this recipe. So this will be interesting, I think. I like trying new things. So into a small saucepan, we're going to put our cream and our tablespoon of butter. There you go. We're going to do this just long enough to get the butter to melt and the cream just to slightly boil. So we've got this on a medium low, more low setting. Okay, so it's just starting to bubble around the sides, and we just want that melted. I'm just going to give this a little swirl. I actually got that just about hot enough. So we're going to add our 4 ounces of chocolate, and then we're going to prep another pan. So now we're going to take this lovely pan here, and I'm just going to put a piece of parchment in it, and I'm going to put that to the side. This pan is going to be for our truffle ganache to cool in. So this is just going to be put to the side. You can do this, or you can just grease the pan. So we've got bubbles. Oh, we got bubbles. All right, so we're going to take this hot cream and we're going to pour it over our chocolate. And we're just going to let that sit long enough to melt. Actually, I'm going to give that a little shake to make sure that it's all coated. There we go. So this is just going to sit for 3 minutes and let all the chocolate melt, and then we're going to give it a whisk. This has been sitting here warming up for a little bit, so I'm just going to stir it until it's smooth. Okay, and then we're gonna add our liqueur. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm just gonna pull over our pan here. Here, we're going to pull you up. And we're going to... I'm going to let that cool to room temperature. And then we're going to put it in the fridge until we're ready to use it. We are going to break this up into little chunks. And actually it's very soft, so I'm just going to use a knife and I'm going to break this up into little chunks and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, at this point in time, your ice cream should have been sitting in your refrigerator for 3 to 24 hours. And you're going to want to move that custard base into your ice cream maker, and at this point you're going to just follow your manufacturer's instructions and do what it tells you to. So I'm going to move my ice cream base, which is already ice creaming, into here. Why is that so thick already? My goodness. Ooh, and now I've started the churning process, and I'm just going to surround the entire thing with ice and kosher salt, which I've already started doing. So I'm just going to fill it up. There's a hole in the side of my bucket, and I know I can't go over that hole. If I do go over that hole, I'll have water all over my counters, and I don't want that. I just want it back out. Well, and now I'm going to try to put a nice even layer of salt. Now this is the hole I was talking about right here, and this just keeps the whole thing from overflowing. We've got our ice cream. There we go. It's kind of at this whipped cream consistency, or this Cool Whip consistency. I'm going to put these little chocolate truffle chunks in there. My kitchen is warmer than I realized, and everything is just softening so fast. I'm gonna throw these little chocolate bits in there as best I can. Okay. Now we're going to mix some more of those in. If the pieces are too big, you can break them up with your fingers. Our raspberry swirl is just about ready, but I have to get it cool. So there that is, and it's melting fast. So like I said, this kitchen is very warm. So I'm going to stick this in the freezer and let it start to stiffen up. I've invited you in here so I can poison you.
Oh no!
I'm just kidding.
She's trying to kill me.
Alright, so as we've been creating this lovely recipe, 2 of the ingredients include Chambord, which I've never tried before, and I don't know if you've tried that before.
No.
Okay, so it's a raspberry liqueur.
Okay.
So I figured we would take a break so you could try this.
Okay.
So here you go. I think it's like a liquored up raspberry jam almost. I like it.
It gives me cough syrup vibes.
It's very syrupy. It's a liqueur. It should be mixed with other things.
Yeah. Let's mix with it.
Well, I think that what it's going to do in the next part when I make the raspberry swirl and the truffles is going to make all the difference. For the raspberry swirl, we will need 1/3 cup of seedless red raspberry jam or preserves and 2 tablespoons of our Chambord. So we're going to put into this pan all of our ingredients. So we're going to heat this on low for 3 minutes. We just want to have a nice little gentle boil. Alright, so there it is. Our raspberry swirl is finished. It's on the warm side, so we're going to put it in a shallow dish so it can cool quicker. And pour this. And we're just getting it off the heat and giving it a few minutes to cool. And once everything's cool, we're going to make our ice cream. I don't want to pour this hot raspberry sauce on there. That would be bad. You guys saw how melty it is already. Now we are going to attempt to make our first ever ice cream swirl. So to do this, the instructions said that we're going to layer this. We're going to do a layer of ice cream, a layer of raspberry, over and over and over again until we get to the top, kind of like a lasagna. Make it very thin layers because these were containers I hate. So this one is. Okay. Another layer. Rest of this in here. I'm going to put the lid on this. I'm going to put it in the freezer, and tomorrow I'm going to scoop it and see how it looks. Alright. Lid. Oops, careful. And into the freezer. This should be interesting. So they said that we're supposed to be able to see the swirl as we scoop. And so far, no. Oh, there it is. Oh, I see it now. There is our ice cream. It looks like our chunks and stuff kind of fell to the bottom, which means it wasn't as thick as it could be, but it was really hot in here last night, so I think that kind of affected it. So all the toppings have unfortunately dropped to the bottom, so I don't know if that's a fail. You're a person who's about to try this ice cream that didn't sit as well as I had hoped, but hopefully it'll taste as good as I hope.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's still ice cream. It's still going to be enjoyed in this household, regardless of where the scrimdiddlyumptious and the angel ice cream made.
Okay.
So you put like bits of the chocolate bar in there whole. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of that. It's really good. The raspberry is not coming through as strong as I thought it was going to be, but that's probably...
It's the bite you got because this is not consistent. All of the raspberry swirl and the truffle chunks all fell to the bottom and the ice cream rose to the top. This is a fail. It did not swirl.
It's still ice cream.
Oh, no, I mean visually. What it was supposed to do is it was supposed to leave a swirl, like when you scooped it, there should be a swirl in it. It's too hot in this kitchen. That's the bottom line. It was just too hot for me to keep the ice cream cold enough to make the effect happen.
Oh well, we still had fun trying to make it work, right?
We did. Adric is here and he wants to try the ice cream too. Alright, so I'm gonna hand this over to Adric so he can give it a try. He wants to stay off camera.
That's good.
That's the critique we got.
That's good.
That's good.
It's chocolate. It's good. It's also ice cream. It's cold.
Did you get the raspberry?
Yeah, that's really good with the raspberry.
See, you just didn't get a raspberry bite.
Oh well. Well, and it's plenty more ice cream around.
Here. Go ahead. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So.
That might have the raspberry. Otherwise, we have really good chocolate ice cream with chocolate bits in it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
When you do get the raspberry, it's a nice surprise.
So, I'm going to try this again maybe when the apartment is colder. And maybe we'll be able to make a swirl ice cream. This time it didn't quite work, but it's still delicious.
Maybe during winter time when we can simply open up our windows and blast this place cold enough.
We'll see. Alright, well, anyway, this was a lot of fun. Until next time, bye!
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw and would like to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I have uploaded again. And from all of us at the channel, take care, be safe, and... Recording of it melting on the counter because it's so warm in the kitchen. Look at that. I told you guys it's hot in here.